Ooh, child.
Child.
Today, it's my turn. We're talking about how when I was a teenager, my adult
Mm.
boyfriend shot at me, literally grazed my back. And
Oh
as
my.
the screen says, the police did nothing. So, yeah, I would like to talk about this because it falls in line with everything we've been discussing with the controlling spirits and the narcissism. And this one's really heavy. And it may have to be a two-part series because of the length of it. But I'm going to talk about my side of the situation, and viewers' discretion advised.
Very advised.
Because this one
I thank you for
is
advising me.
very heavy. Child, this one is really serious because it's involving someone who is a minor. Okay, where do we get off
Mm.
as a human being, flesh and blood, as a man? Okay, I don't care if you're 23, 24, and you're dealing with someone that's 16, 17 years old, still in high school, still going to school, still, like
Mm.
seriously.
Wow.
And there's a backstory behind all of it, but my heart goes out to all of those young. And if anybody's young and listening, seek help. Like, don't suffer alone and think when you get caught up in something where someone's threatening your life, your family's life, or where you're in a situation where you think you can't turn back. There's always a way. And the Father is so compassionate to forgive. There's nothing so heavy in your life or so wrong and dirty that you can't be redeemed. Hallelujah. So I just want to start this off like that and just cover it with that. But
Ooh,
oh,
child. Woo. Woo, I'm feeling it already. You ain't
child.
said nothing.
I know, right?
Mm.
Well, let's start off and talk about how it all started. I was about 16 years old, and no one in my life ever brought me to church, right? It was one of those things where I just kind of wanted to seek the most high. I wasn't religious. I didn't grow up religious. I had, people of faith in my family, of course, and they went to, church or fellowship or whatnot. But I never had anybody to say, hey, this is what you do, this is what you need to do. And I was always a musician, always a singer, and always wanting to just seek truth and seek, that my spirituality. So at about 15, 16, that's where I really gave my life over to our King Yahusha. And I was really grateful for the presence in my family, my great grandmother's church, where I lived up north. And while I was there, it was a young guy, and he was about maybe 4 years older than me. So I was like a freshman not a freshman in high school, and he was a senior in high school. He was about to graduate, and he was playing the drums. And
Mm.
I played the piano, and I helped lead the choir, the youth choir. And so we decided, hey, we're interested in one another. So we started going out, and that was that. But that one point in time, he went off to college. And when he went off to college, he actually stopped calling me for like 2 weeks straight. For 2 weeks. How do you go to college?
Mm. Oh, he wanted to play. Yeah, he
Wow.
playing. Uh-huh. He said, I'm outside now.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Child.
Mm.
Right. He went
Okay,
off to a whole
okay.
nother city, like a whole nother section, 6 hours away. Okay, and for 2 weeks straight, he did not call. And I'm like 15, 16 years old. He's 18 or whatever. Now, this
Mm.
particular relationship turned into an engagement. We were literally matched up, even by the church, by my family, by his family. Everybody was marrying us off, and I was not even of age.
Oh, oh, well.
Okay,
Mm,
how are
mm,
you
mm, mm.
15, 16 okay? So this is the first drama. This is the first drama. So after a while, we were engaged. I'm 15, 16 years old, engaged to an adult. I want you to let that sink in.
Oh, wow.
Then after that, I as a child, I was not feeling it. We had good times, but this dude was super goofy, as you see in the images. I just after a while I was just like, I can't. He's too goofy. I'm too I was too mature, even as a 15, 16-year-old to endure some of his immaturities. I mean, he would like go to we would do dash and dine. He want to go to the restaurant, eat, and then not
Ooh,
pay. He wanted to sit in a movie theater and spitballs through the straw from your drink at the white people. So he would literally do these things, and he's the minister of music at the church for the youth. And this is what he's doing, and I was just so turned off. And there came a time where again he went off to college. I'm calling him, he's not answering. His roommate's like he's busy, and that was a turn off. So you know what I said to myself? I'm moving on with my little life. And I didn't really want him all like that after a while
right.
because of the goofiness. It just turned me off. So long story short, during that time, because I was very mature. I had a job at the age of 15, 16. I had a car. I was driving. I had my own things. I had designer clothes and all that I bought. You know what I'm saying?
All
So I was
right.
very mature, and I was in this vocational class that, I was becoming a dental assistant. So I was already almost completed with that with my vocational classes. And I was like doing well in my life, and I'm like, do I really want to do this anymore?
Yeah, no, right.
I didn't want the relationship. But you know what else I didn't want? I
What
started
else?
to backslide, and I didn't really want to just like be set apart. I wanted to drink, I want to smoke, I want to kick it, I want to dance.
Okay.
Started doing that while I was still going to church. Okay. So
Okay.
unfortunately, this was mixing in with itself. The enemy knew that. He knew that, okay, I got me one. She's
Mm.
like straddling the fence. She's lukewarm. Out in the world. Long story short, while I was doing that, there was these older gentlemen that came, and for example, I had a friend. Okay, we were kicking it, going out and partying, having a good old time at the age of 15, 16, right? And at that time, we
Girl,
met these two older
outside.
gentlemen. Too hot to trot. So,
Mm.
unfortunately, we got introduced into a more mature crowd, and there was these two gentlemen, and they were both from Caribbean islands, right?
Uh-oh.
And the whole time that I'm thinking, okay, this one guy wanted to talk to, I'm trying to hook him up with my friend. He had a connection with me, and I actually had a connection with him.
Mm, child. Mm.
Child.
Uh, I
So,
got one question.
with that,
Was he was he a
you,
dreadhead girl? Was he a
please
dread?
ask. Not at all. Not at all. Very clean cut. He had like looked
Oh,
like a model. He
oh,
looked like a
okay.
model. Like I was, yeah, and I was just like very clean cut, very very wealthy, looked like a model. He lived on the same street as, my parents, and he was very much over age at that time. He was like 23, 24, and it was just in
Oh,
very very inappropriate. But anyways, going back to what you said, was he like the typical what we as Americans look at the island, people think of like, Jamaican, he was that, or maybe Rasta or any of that's
yeah.
man. But no, he actually wasn't. His mother was a very sweet person, very welcoming. But I didn't even know that, he was like first generation, barely. And
Oh,
later on, I'll talk about that. So just
mhm.
remember that, what you just asked, because
Okay,
that's really
okay,
important. Sis,
okay.
so here we are. I'm like, I'm feeling bad because I actually had that connection with him, but I really wanted him to talk to my friend. So, anyways, they decided one day, okay, they're going to go out and get to know each other more. And I was happy for my friend at the time. And I felt really bad because I'm like, oh, I really like him. Like, I really, really liked him. And I could tell he liked me, but, I don't know why we do some silly stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like, why do people like if you want somebody, just be honest and just be like, look, I really want. So long story short, they went out one night to the movie. Okay, she snuck out. She going out with this grown man, going to the movie, and so the next that evening, I'm like, okay, sis, give me the tea. What's going on? How did it go? And in my heart, I'm hoping it went bad.
I know, girl. I know
I'm
you was.
hoping
You like,
it went bad.
ooh, child. You like, that my man for real, but
That's shame. And so that's what I'm saying. Child.
mm,
So I'm really, I'm confessing. This is confession hour right now because I'm
ooh,
admitting that as a young woman, this is the downfall of even sisterhoods. Because here I am, she's supposed to be my close friend, and really I'm mentally and spiritually sabotaging something that she wanted. Not saying it was righteous, it didn't matter anyway, but
no,
it's just the
again, but
principle of the fact. You see what I'm saying? And so
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so you know what happens though? In your mind, you ever been in that space where you feel like I'm reaping what I've sown? I'm reaping what I've sown. Like, man, I messed up. Like, you know how in your adulthood, as you went further and maybe you got married,
Mhm.
and you're like, man, did you ever think to yourself, maybe I'm reaping what I've sown since I was living a certain way and did this. Maybe this is,
Yeah,
like they say karma, or it's like the law of reciprocity or the Father's will for, yeah. So I
yeah,
never
child.
thought about
I
that.
have.
I'm 15, 16 years old. Why would I think about, no, go ahead. What were you saying?
I was gonna say, yeah, I have, because in my past, y'all, I did something
Yeah.
crummy with a, yeah, but with a boy. But anyway,
Yeah.
I digress.
Yeah, yeah, you already know. So she said, the little date they went on, it didn't go well. And it's only because, like she said, he's a nice guy, but I'm just not feeling him. And we just decided to be friends. And I was happy about it. So I knew in my heart, like, to look out the window. Sis, I look out the window and he's standing on the porch right after their date at my house. At my house.
Wow.
I already knew. And I have to admit that I was happy. So I went outside, long story short, I went outside and I talked with him and we had this talk. And I explained to him, well, I'm kind of like engaged to this other guy. And, I know that it didn't work out well for you and my friend, but and he just put his hands on my face and he simply told me, don't even think about that. Don't worry about that. And this is when the grooming started.
Mm-hmm.
This is when that moment of grooming, 15, 16-year-old started. And I was just so happy to have that connection and to feel that sensation of love and what I thought was love. I didn't care. I mean, and one thing about me as a young girl is I was more, tomboyish, running around with gangs and this. I'm this suburban girl down in the hood, and all these type of things. And my parents didn't know. Sneaking the car out, drive. Look, I knew how to drive a car before they tried to teach me. I knew how to roll up a blunt. I knew how to drink a 40 and out drink the men. All of that, my dear sister.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I used to do
gosh.
all that. And I didn't even get to the age of 16 yet. I was,
Ooh.
oh my goodness, sis, look, I was so young that when I went to go get my first like wage job at the age of 15 and a half, my mother had to come with me to the interview because of state laws. That's how young I was.
Oh
So
my
it's
God.
like, here I am already making conscious decisions and not being led. So, anyways, back to the story.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm standing here and we literally had our moment. And right as we are about to kiss, my mother comes out on the porch and she is just,
Ooh, child.
she comes out on the porch. She's looking through the screen window and she's like, and then she just, after that, she just was like, you know what? She just saw what she saw and she just left me there and she went back into the house. because what could
Oh,
she say or do? I was so mature at that time. It was like I was out of control. But keep in mind, my mother, again, was so happy for me to be with the previous, the young guy that I was supposed to be engaged with, that the church wanted me to, it was an arranged marriage type thing. They were just so happy. So this is what caught her off guard and broke her heart. Later
oh,
on, when I came in the house and she told me, "What are you doing, Shira? What are you doing? What are you doing? I don't understand why you're doing this. Why are you out there with that guy? And how old is he? How old is that guy? Tell me the truth." And I lied. I lied like we all did.
mm-hmm.
So eventually, what happened is the Jamaican guy, adult boyfriend, wanted me to make sure that I ended ties with the old guy. Okay, we'll call his name. Um, what should we call him? We'll just call him Goofy, because he was
Yeah,
goofy. All
goofy.
right, a Disney
Yeah,
character. So he
yeah.
wanted me. Yeah, he wanted me to end everything with Goofy, and I couldn't end everything with Goofy, but I did. I had to because I just wasn't interested, and it wasn't fair to him. So
Mm-hmm.
I called him over one day. He was back in town from college over summer break. I said, "I can't do this anymore." He was like, "Over?" I said, "Yeah, it's over." And I mean, it lasted maybe 5 minutes, and he got in his car and drove back home. And that was the end of that. And everybody was upset with me, the church, my family, his family, but it wore off after a while. But I was looked at as this whore. I was looked at as,
But
this
wait a
person
minute.
that broke.
Yeah, but he wasn't paying attention to you. You couldn't get him to get on the phone. On top of the other things that he was doing, but he just decides when he wants to pick
Exactly.
you up off the shelf. Um,
Hmm.
no, no, ma'am. It needed to be over.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Exactly. But see, what happens is when you have that syndrome that nobody hears you, nobody understands you, everybody has this prejudice and this bias about you, or this conceived notion and a preconceived notion about you, that you're this fast girl, you're this uppity girl, you're this
Mm-hmm.
spoiled girl, you're this whore, you're ruining the church, things like that. It wasn't verbally said, it was said through their actions and lack thereof. And I'm sure many can identify with that. When you get to a place in your life where you can't speak your truth, even if it's hurting you, everybody took up for these men. And it's a shame.
Wow.
And I know you can relate and identify to that, but
Yeah.
moving forward, I did. I finally, broke it off, and then like the next, that evening, Jamaican dude comes over. We'll call him. I'll call himself Yaman. Yaman comes over, and he tells me, I did a good thing, and we're gonna be together. He even starts talking about how, let's go to Jamaica, let's leave the country, and you can escape this life. And like my life was bad or something, but I was just so enamored. So one day, one evening, he looks, he looks through my pager. We're standing in the driveway, and he snatches my pager. So that goes to tell you how long ago this is, because I'm telling you, pager,
Yeah.
a pager, a beeper. Okay, he takes it off my hip. 'Cause remember, we used to carry a pager on our hip. He takes my pager and finds a number, and he doesn't like it. I get upset, he's yelling. I mean, he is violently upset. He takes the pager, throws it on the ground, gets in his car, and he crushes it and runs over the pager.
Oh man, no.
And then that was that. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So the next day, he comes to my house. Yaman comes to my house and says, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about how I destroyed your pager, and I love you, and this and that, and I don't want you to leave me, and we're meant to be together." Now, mind you, he's a grown man. I'm a child.
Mm.
So he takes me to the store, and we're having a good time looking for pagers. And I'm thinking everything's going to be just fine. It'll all work out, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
have a good time after that. After that, weeks go by. We're just, connecting. Remember, he lives on my streets. So he can just walk across the street. I could just see him. He actually got me another device. It's some type of device where you hit the button and it would signal him to come out and come to wherever I'm at. And I don't know how it worked, but it worked. If I
Mm.
pushed that little button, it was a white button on this little device, he would come outside. And he said it would ring something in his room or wherever he's at. This man, let me tell you about this man.
Mm.
He had so much control and power within our city that if you dare call the police on him, if you dared question him, you come up missing.
Oh, oh, oh,
We
oh,
had some
sis.
good times. Like he would actually take me to go wash my car. He would, buy me little things, and I wasn't the type of the woman that would accept gifts. I don't accept gifts from men. But from him, he knew that. He was very controlling, very manipulative. He knew the game. It's not that he even just wanted me, he wanted control over me. So we would have fun. He would wash my car and do things like that. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, I never had a guy do this for me. And I just thought that things were just really interesting because every time we would be somewhere, someone was always there staring or judging. I think, oh, they were just judging the situation, or I hope they don't go tell my parents or something like that. But lo and behold, one day, what happened was it was one evening. I saw this woman and she had approached me before, but I just didn't want to hear what she had to say. I thought she was like an ex-girlfriend because she said, you need to stay away from him and everything like that. And she wasn't that much older
Mm-hmm.
than me. Not at all, maybe 4 or 5 years. She told me, you need to stay away from him. That he actually had punched her and abused her before. And your life is on the
Mm.
line. And I'm just like, okay, I hear you, etc., whatever. The whole time, every time someone was trying to express something to me or warn, he always happened to be somewhere. If it was in a bush or I don't know how, because it was the 90s and somehow he had a way of listening to everything going on. So things she said, I let it sink into me. But lo and behold, my dear sister, that was the
Mm.
last time. I did not know that would be the last time I ever see that woman ever again.
Oh, ooh, child. Oh man.
A
Mm.
few days later, I'm at school in high school, and someone comes up to me and tells me that that same woman is now on the news missing. She's
Uh-oh.
missing, and they're looking for her. I can't say too much because this is a very true
Mm.
story, and I don't want to give too much. But where I was at,
Yeah.
because she was an adult and she was, can make her own decisions. Nobody really, it was no such thing as Amber Alerts and things like that. You just went on the news, you
Yeah.
said somebody, my sister, I haven't seen her in days, and people, and especially if you're a woman of color, you really,
Yeah.
people didn't care.
You're not, yeah.
And that's
You're
just the
not
truth.
getting any coverage if
Okay,
you're a woman
with
of
certain,
color.
it's
It's
not
like
that,
whatever.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's that, sis?
Yeah, I'm saying, and what else happened?
Oh, so long story short, it was just like, we were just, having a good time going out. He even took me to my first Jamaican restaurant. And long story short, as we were going forward and this so-called relationship, I thought things were okay. But eventually he started showing his true self. He started becoming more
Mm.
controlling. He started becoming more aggressive. He started
Mm.
asking me where I'm going, what I'm doing. And to the point where even one evening, it got so explosive that he literally had put his hands on me. And
Mm.
I was just very done with the situation at that point. Once he had put his hands on me, I was done because he had already started doing things like showing up at my house. I'm sitting, I could be talking on the phone, watching TV. He's literally stalking at this point. Even my parents started asking, who was that on the porch? Who was that
Oh,
in the driveway? And by the time they got out, he was gone. Okay. So it's not like my parents didn't know, but my dear sis, I was like actually hiding this from him because he used to always tell me, like, in an argument, he would subtly say those controlling things like, if you ever say anything or tell about, me selling, the substances or talk about this, things that I
mm-hmm.
knew that I was privy to and all the stuff he got going on with this king, he said that, you won't see your family again. They will be unalived, they
Oh
won't
my
be
gosh.
alive anymore. So he made these threats, and that's where I felt like, okay, I have to like, yeah. So one day I had enough. He comes in my parents' house at night. They're upstairs asleep. I'm sitting downstairs. He comes in literally in the door. He picks the door, comes in the house. And I'm like, shh, you got to keep it down. Like my parents, they cut up and stuff. And he's like, I don't care, this and that and that. And he was like, and I saw you with this person. I saw you. And really, like you were saying, my dear sis, how you said you were going through stuff in your marriage and you the whole
Mm-hmm.
time you were still being faithful? I
Yep.
literally was not doing anything with this grown man. I was cheating. I wasn't seeing other guys at school. He was just so paranoid. He was just so controlling and paranoid. He hit me in my face, and all I saw was a little stars. And then he left, and I locked the door. And I'm like, I can't tell my parents. I can't tell anybody what's going on. I'm starting to fear for my life. So I said to myself, you know what? I just got to figure out a way to just leave my house. I can't live here in this house anymore, but I can't leave my parents because what if he does something to them? And there's times where I even would tell the police, like I even told them, like I'm starting to feel, just trying to reach out to someone I would call, and they would laugh at me. Anyway, the next day
Wow.
after he had hit me upside my face with an open hand, he hit me in my eyes and I couldn't even really see fully after that. 5 in the morning, he's on my porch. He taps on my window. I come down, I come outside, and he's sitting on the porch with a gun in his hand, pointed at his hand.
Oh. Oh my god. Oh.
All right, here comes the manipulation. And my dear sister and women, I'm gonna close this up in a minute. I know I've been talking a long time, but I'm leading this story up to express to you
Ooh-wee.
all the moments of control, all the moments of grooming, all the moments where you're like, oh my goodness, oh, he's the greatest. We had good times. He's not the worst thing in the world. It does not matter. When someone is threatening you, your life, when someone is threatening your peace, when someone is causing you to, keep all these secrets and doesn't want you to learn, talk to this person and talk to that person, you are
Mm,
making a conscious decision to literally end your own life. You have to get out of that situation. Even if the police, even if your support does not listen, even if you feel like, they're going to judge you because, you did leave that situation for this and that's what you get, you little whore and all this, and they call you names. You got to find a way out. And you got to pray. You have to seek support. It is not worth it. So this manipulator here,
mm.
Yaman, sits on the porch. He has a gun pointed to his hand, like he's gonna shoot his hand off because he hit me the night before. And of course,
Wow.
me and my young self and my vulnerable self, I wasn't stupid. I wasn't stupid, but I just didn't want him to do that. I was more concerned about what if there's blood everywhere? What if my parents hear this? He's already made threats against me. I was more concerned about it being a problem. So I comforted him. I
Mm-hmm.
comforted my stalker, my attacker. I comforted him. And I'm sure you can relate to this. Like what you were saying with your, marriages, like where you're even trying to accommodate him,
Mm-hmm.
just try to be more understanding. And you can't pray your way out of something that's abusive in that
Yeah.
sense. If they keep doing it, they're
You
not
not.
going to stop. They're not.
Nope.
So days later, he did the same thing that Goofy did. Y'all mind did the same thing that Goofy did. He stopped paging me. He stopped answering my call. He stopped coming around. So So once he saw that he got control over me like that, he was good.
Mhm.
So he
He was
stopped
good.
coming to the house. And so I said, okay, well, I'm moving on. So I'm got my friends, we sitting drinking, doing our thing on the front porch. This dude's hiding in bushes again, doing this. I didn't even know. I had a feeling. And somebody was telling me he's stalking you, he's following you. And remember now, I'm about 16, 17. Some months has gone by. I'm thinking everything's okay. But then I noticed things were coming up missing. My car kept having these little small damages on them. So I just learned that, let me just always stay ready with some type of weapon on me or something like that. So, he was doing all these things and stalking me, and things weren't as bad, but I just felt this unease. One day he
Mhm.
shows up and he's like, I'm on my way to work. I'm about 16 or so. I'm on my way to work. He was just like, come on, let's do this. I'm so sorry. I really apologize. I just been so busy and busy. How do you go days, weeks, months and abuse and these
Exactly.
mind games? And I said no, and I drove away and left. Sis, what do you think happened after I drove away and told him no? He got upset. So
Yeah.
days
Yeah.
later, I'm sitting, I think I was at my mother's house. Yeah, I'm sitting, I think I'm at my mother's house, and all of a sudden one of the windows get broke out, and here I am. I don't want them to get upset. So, I'm calling the police. I'm telling them, my life is being threatened. I feel like this guy is got to, I won't marry him. I won't do. He's older than me. The police laugh. They laughed at me on the phone. I even told them, he's actually giving uncontrolled substances to sell on the street to 10-year-olds. I name dropped and said, this is what's going on. They laughed. And I never knew it's because he had so many connections with the police, so many connections with the authorities.
Wow.
Moving forward, I looked out the window. I heard this noise in front of the house. He's in the car with the girl across the street, the blonde hair, blue eyed girl across the street, who's
Uh-uh.
younger than me. She's about 13, doing
Not
things in
begging.
doing things in the car with, yes, doing things in the car with her, having her
Mm.
do things in front of my house. So I could see.
Mm.
I had enough. At this point, it was getting out of hand. I
Mm-mm.
would be sitting at night. He's coming into my house. He's doing the same thing. Now he's coming into the house. He's sneaking. I'm hearing noises. My parents are trying to figure out what's going on. Back then, they were like, let's get an alarm system. I should have said something. I should have told them this is what's going. I was too scared for their lives. One evening, had enough. I walked across the street. I had a bat. I was gonna bash his Benz in. He had a Mercedes Benz. I was gonna bash all the windows in, and this is when it got worse. I was so like, I'm done with this. I'm gonna just end this. He can't do this to me anymore. I'm not afraid of you. I wanted to show him. I was standing up to him. You're not gonna do this to me anymore. I told him, you cannot control me. You're not gonna hurt my family. I'm gotta stand up to him. And I thought to myself, where is that woman, that young woman? Where is she that's missing? Where is she? What happened to her? Is this gonna be me? But I couldn't take it anymore, sis. I was just being stalked too much. Lo and behold, I didn't know that he had that same little white gun. He whipped the white
Oh.
gun out. He called me the B word. He said he was going to take care of me. So as I was running, I said, I got to get out of here. Let me just go. I ran across the street. And the whole time I heard a gunshot, but I didn't know that the whole time that when he shot, he had shot and grazed my back. I
Oh my
never
God.
even knew,
Oh
had
my.
no idea.
Ooh.
I was,
Oh.
he had abused to the point where he was going to kill me now.
Mm.
I had to remain silent. I'm at home. I said, let me duck down below the window and I'm going to stay below the window so that he can't see me and finish, doing whatever he was going to do. And still in my mind, you know what I still thought? That this man really must love me. He must
Mm.
really, really care that much that he don't want nobody else to have me. And that's how wicked and twisted and messed up. So I got down in my mother and father's dining room, and I laid on the ground only because I was trying to dodge his shadow and his vision from the window. And I'm going to end this. end in a very quick moment, but I just want to say this.
Mhm.
As I was laying down, my father came down the stairs and turned the light on because it was nighttime. He turned the light on. He's like, "What's all this noise?" He was like, "Is somebody trying to break in again? You need to get upstairs and go to bed." And he said, "What's all that blood on your back?" And I was like, I felt and I had blood on my shirt. And I lied to him the first. I said, "Oh, I got a carpet burn when I was running." And I must say, "Oh my goodness, I must have been shot." And I finally went and looked in the mirror, after he went back to check the house and he went back to bed, saw nothing was wrong. And my back had been grazed by the bullet. And I'm so grateful he didn't mess my spine up or anything. But for years, I carried that mark on my back to remind me of how not only foolish and vulnerable I was, but how I just couldn't believe that I was in this situation. And I had everything going for myself and all this. And I made these conscious decisions to
Yeah.
not say anything to anyone because I was so afraid. I went to the police. And once again, what do you think they did?
Nothing.
What do you think? I went and I showed them everything. Laughed. Nothing. I tried to
Wow.
dress professional and everything. They laughed. I had nowhere to turn. So from that
Mhm.
point forward, I finally had to say something because my mother, long story short, she said, "Shira, what's going on?" Because she came home from work. She was a medical assistant. She came home from work one day, and all through the back of the house on the doors was tape. And the words was "I love you" all over the house, on the windows, the basement windows, the doors, the back door, everything. And so finally she was just like, "What's going on? Well, you got to tell me what's going on. What's going on?" Do you know I
Mm.
still didn't tell her fully what was going on? I just said, "You know what?
Mm.
I think that this is one of the guys that I was talking to." She was like, "Is this the guy from that porch? Let me know. Tell me the truth." And sis, I still didn't tell her. But you know what I did tell her? I said, "I think it is this and that," and just real softly because I didn't want their lives were on the line. If you see in the picture, I mean, even the button I showed her, there's this button. If I push it, he comes over, he tries to help me. She said, "We're getting a restraining order." So we filled that out, and she told me it's going to be okay. Went to the police station, and of course, what do you think they did?
Nothing.
Laughed,
Nothing.
laughed at
Laugh.
us. Nothing,
Mm.
Ab-
Nothing.
absolutely nothing. So literally, my whole family, we had lived there for 18, it was about 18 years at this point. Actually, they lived there for longer than that. They packed the house up and just left and moved across town. That's how deep this was getting. It was getting that deep. They were
Mm.
already talking about it anyway, but this really pushed it to the point where,
Mhm.
yeah. So I went on and moved on with my life, and this dude continued to stalk me. Everywhere I went, he stalked me. There was this younger guy. He was a yaman, let's go to yaman too, but he was a very sincere, nice guy. I told him what was going on. I was being stalked, and he said, "Don't worry about it. I got you." One day we were standing outside talking. I was a little older, about 18 at this point, 19. I was going off to college and everything. It's about to end here because this is where it really gets ridiculous.
Oh wow.
Sis, I told him, I said, "This guy literally shot at me. He abused me. He shot at me, this and that." And he was like, "Hold on, who's this guy over here?" All of a sudden, he comes over, he starts a commotion. He's like, "You can be talking to her and this and that." He's like, "Hold up, dude. You hold up." And this is the first time in my life I felt protected for real. And this is the trail of where even I got in my current marriage that been in for 25 years. Is because I've always looked for someone to protect me from this situation. I lived with it
Mm.
for years. They ended up getting to a confrontation. They got into this match. He was fighting and wrestling and everything. Some people called the police and all that. And the police came. And what do you think happened when the police came? What do you think happened?
They better not had a deal. They ain't do nothing.
They ain't do nothing.
Mm.
The gentleman that was helping me, my friend, my older, I know he was older, but he was at least trying to get me out of situations and talk to me and tell me like you deserve better. You don't need to be
Yeah.
in these situations with these adult men and all this stuff. They actually went to court and they put him in jail and he disappeared, never to be seen again.
Oh.
True story. Everybody started coming up missing. Mhm.
Mm.
So So my life just carried on. I tried to carry on normally. It really hurt because these are the people that like were trying to warn me. I felt responsible for their life. Like, what is going on? Everywhere I go, I went off to school, to college. I always felt like I had to watch my back. Everywhere I go, I started drinking, I started smoking, I started, getting involved with some of the, entertainment industry in a very hardcore way. And even then, I always felt like I had to watch my back. I stayed medicated, self medication with the alcohol and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Since I made these decisions, I take full responsibility. But no one, I try to cry out to the church. I try to cry out to family. I tried to tell people in a subtle way. And, my mother wanted, she heard me. And there's way more to this story than what I'm sharing. But I
Yeah.
just want to explain that there was never really a sense of relaxation during this time from the age of 16 all the way to 21, which is what brought me to now the type of men that I'm seeking are men that are just protecting. It didn't matter how much money they got. Like you said in one of your videos, you were talking about how even if he's just a pizza delivery guy, at least, we could work with that. Since I did all of that, all I cared about was feeling safe and comfortable. And that wasn't the situation. So I made these decisions in the long run that cost other people possibly their life. I had to live with that. So it's not so much that, okay, there's this adult boyfriend that shot at me and changed my life, but was it worth it to make the decision to seek something that I knew in my heart was, I knew better. I knew better than that. But that's all. That's my story. There's way more to it. I just wanted to share that. I know we can blame the man and say he did this and that, but you say you was just a child. Seriously. And there's lots
Yeah.
of layers to this, but one thing that I walk away from it is that if I can tell anybody, don't just do something because it feels right, or don't just stay with something that you think you have to stay with that's abusive, that you can tell in your heart is not going the right way. Seek support, seek help. Do not go it
That's
alone.
right.
Because once we repeat them, it's like a pattern. You just keep getting the same joker, the same type of man, the
Yep.
same type.
Over and over and over. And
Yeah.
sis,
But yeah,
even though,
my dear sis, that's all. That's what I wanted to share. And
yeah, and
over
even
and
though the people, that were affected, from them trying to warn you, one thing that I'm sure you have to know, that you could not control what was going to happen to those people. You could not control it. That's not
Mhm.
on you. Also, it is never okay, and it's not your fault that this man chose to abuse you, even though you made the decisions that you made. But abuse, manipulation, that stuff messes with your
Mhm.
brain. It messes with the wiring. You are actually being reprogrammed. So that's why you were more, in other words, you
That's
you
right.
kept you kept staying with it, because he was steadily rewiring your brain. He was basically breaking in on your belief system. And the only way that he could break into your belief system is because there was
Mhm.
already something there. And the enemy knew that. He was attracted to that because there was
That's
something that he
right.
saw in you that could be moldable. You were young, you was doing the things that you were doing, and he looked at you and he like, yeah, she may be whatever, but I can make her, I can mold her, I can make her be what I want her to be. She's gonna be mine. She's gonna be my property for life. I'ma own that. I'm still gonna play. I'm still gonna play with other ones because I
Mhm.
can. But
Exactly.
this one right here, that's gonna be my prime. That's gonna be my top right there. She ain't going nowhere, you know. But yeah, abuse,
Mhm.
anything like that,
Yeah,
even
and you
though you
went
make
through
the
that.
decision you make, yeah. But it's coming from a place that's far more deeper. And a lot of people don't understand that when you are in an
That's
abusive
right.
relationship, that like I said, in the spiritual components of it, the witchcraft, in the control and in the manipulation. I mean, it just goes deep. But like I said, yes, you are accountable
Say
for
it.
the decisions that you made, but that abuse and
Yes.
what he chose to do to those other people because he was just evil, he's just wicked and violent, that's not your fault. It is not your fault. So that's what I wanted to say about that.
Not at all. Hallelujah. Thank
Mm,
you. And other people, men and women, both need to hear that. It is not your fault. It doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter your creed, it doesn't matter any of that. But maybe we can do a part two because there's so many layers to it. But that's what I wanted to share and encourage other people. It is not your fault. And there's always hope to not, you don't have to continue this same pattern. Pay attention to what it is that you like and don't like and why it is. Do you really like that? Or is that what you feel you have to do? And that is something that we have to pray and fast upon to be delivered from. As the sister said, you have a deeper rooted issue. It's beyond what you can see. It goes beyond that, but it is not your fault at all. Hallelujah. Thank you, my dear sister, for just, highlighting and underscoring and and saying that. Yeah, this is a rough one because it's like, where those people at? Where they go? Are they alive? Like, it's very
Ooh,
serious. But yes, so that's all. Yes,
ooh,
ooh, child, like
yes.
seriously.
Oh, woo, child, I'm rubbing my back. Like, ooh, this, ooh, I feel like I was, ooh, I feel like I went down that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, you know what?
Yeah,
I think it
yeah,
should be a part
yeah,
two.
man.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
this
it
is,
should be a part two. If if
yeah,
you can. This is I mean, wonderful, great information. Being able to look back on it, I just praise our Heavenly Father for bringing you out and
yeah.
share. That is just such a blessing. Hallelujah. Where you're able to share your
Hallelujah.
testimony, because there are
Yeah,
other people that's going through this right now, that's in this type of situation with these violent imbeciles right
right
now
now in
that
real
need to
time.
just, yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
that really just need to get out,
Absolutely.
need to plan a
Yeah,
way of
yeah,
escape and get out.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well,
Well, until next time, we say, ooh,
ooh,
child.
uh,
Ooh, child.
ooh,
We got a delay. We got a delay on our on our little interconnection here, but yes,
yeah,
we will catch you all next time.
next
Subscribe
time.
and like, please, to this channel, and let us know. Should we do a part two, part three? Should we have faith talk and dig more deeper into things that align with these type of situations? Of course we should. Of course we should.
Yes,
That's what we're here
yeah,
for. So all right. Um, don't forget to like and subscribe and click those videos that pop up on the screen as
like
this video ends. And
that.
Father, cover and keep you all.
Yes. Until next time. Bye.